So thank you all for joining us today. If you're here, you are at least affiliated with the defense community. And this is, the Premier Awards program for, honoring communities that, make an improvement in the lives of service members, military families, veterans, and just, it's very quality of life focused. And so thank you for being here. To begin, just today, we're going to go through the program background. We're going to go through the history of GADC. We're going to go through the different components of what the program looks like for those who are selected. We will go over sort of the nomination and award timeline, when communities are selected and when, visits happen in the magazine and all that, how to apply, what the nominating board is looking for in a community, and then at the end, we will do a Q&A session. The Great American Defense Communities Program was developed by ADC back in 2016. We do this in partnership with USAA. They are our program sponsor, and they support us throughout all of this. So essentially, we will go this year to either 4 or 5 communities, and we will do several things. We will visit and do a sort of delegation visit where board members and ADC staff visit your community, and we sort of see, face to face what you all do to improve the lives of military families and service members. And there'll be several other components as well, video, magazine article, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, what this is about is how your community, demonstrates an exceptional commitment to improving the lives of these people in your community. So this will be the program's 8th year. We have over 40 communities who have been selected as a GADC in over 25 states, everywhere from Texas and Georgia to Washington State, all over the country. And we're looking to ideally, before ADC's 50th anniversary in 2026, we would love to expand to as many new states and new regions as possible. No 2 GADCs are the same. They all vary. Visits will look very different. Video topics will be different. The articles will cover completely different topics. And from year to year, what GADC at the reception and session at Installation Innovation Forum, which this year will be in Orlando in November, they all look different, but they all share these similar components. As I mentioned already, there will be a visit by an ADC delegation. There will be a video, an article, and yes, the reception session at IIF. And throughout the year, we will be, promoting you all. Will be whatever partner organization, social media, will be retweeting posts, highlighting things on LinkedIn, continual social media engagement to really, gain visibility for your community and really highlight the work that you all are doing to make the lives of service members and military families and veterans better. So the community visit. Each community will receive an in-person delegation visit consisting of ADC staff or board members or a mix of both. At these, there will always be an event where the community is honored, and we will present you with a Great American Defense Community flag that you would have already received, but this is a sort of a formal ceremony to acknowledge that you have been awarded as such. Sometimes we've had it happen in, board meetings for, an economic development commission that, submitted the nomination. Sometimes it happens in other ways, but we really do encourage you to do this in a creative way that even goes beyond your organization and really involves the community. One example, last year, we went to Tullahoma, Tennessee. They were a great community. They did a street fair called the Taste of Tullahoma, where local businesses lined up at their old armory building, different stands and vendors, both small businesses and large businesses alike that had a presence in Tullahoma. And then, halfway through the street fair, there was this ceremony, and we handed the flag to them, and it was a lovely time. Hundreds of people were there. Not every event will look like that, and not every community has the capacity to plan something like that. But basically, we encourage you to get creative and to really find ways to involve your community. and the installation that's neighboring it, of course. In addition, sometimes these visits will include, kind of guiding the delegation around, showing them various aspects of your community. Like, as I mentioned already, Tullahoma, we toured a local high school. We toured the University of Tennessee Space Institute, which was in town. There was a Beechcraft Aviation Museum that we also saw. So there was, it was just kind of a whole day of kind of going around and showing ADC what your community is doing and what your community has. It's a lot of fun. In addition, so we'll go into the video next, but these visits, we frequently tie them in with the video shoot. This video is premiered at IIF. To everyone in attendance, we will bring a small production crew of normally 2 to 3 people to your town or your community, and we will, develop a script in conjunction with your community for weeks and months in advance, kind of focus on a certain aspect, whether it's, education, getting veterans involved in the workforce, spousal employment, DEI efforts, climate resilience, all sorts of things. Whatever is an aspect that, maybe like stuck out in your application or was discussed on a follow-up call, these things will be addressed on in a video. So what we would need from the community is, help us coordinate with several interviews regarding this topic, maybe assisting with providing some B-roll footage, though normally we can cover that B-roll ourselves, but sometimes we may need an extra shot or two. So this is, and like I said, this is premiered at Installation Innovation Forum, where you will be in attendance and be honored, and several hundred people, almost 1,000 people most likely, will get to see this video, and we'll do a release simultaneously on our social media channels. We'll promote it on YouTube, and we'll promote it for the whole year after. One last thing, this video is, it's meant to be simple. It's supposed to give people just an introductory look to your community. It's supposed to grab people's attention, show people on Capitol Hill the good work being done in defense communities and how they need support. So it needs to be kept simple and fresh. We've had some enthusiastic communities before who have a lot that they want to be included, but unfortunately, we really do want to keep it to no more than 6, maybe 7 minutes, and really keep it focused on one issue, really streamline it. So that's just an important thing to keep in mind moving forward. So another great aspect of this program is being featured in America's Defense Communities magazine. If you are not familiar with it, we release it at Installation Innovation Forum as well. The print copies, at least, we'll hand them out throughout the year in our other events. And then we also have digital versions that we'll promote and share online. You can find it on our website. On our homepage, there's a slider that if you scroll, you can just click to download, and you can take a look through. Halfway through the magazine, there is a map that shows all our communities, and it shows, from each class, so class of 2016, class of 2017, et cetera, et cetera. And then after that, each community from that year will have a dedicated 2-page spread, similar to the video, which will cover a topic of, that we will develop together. I remember in 2021, an article that I really enjoyed writing, Coastal Georgia was one of our communities, and we wrote about how they did a program when COVID started to create a COVID-safe sort of portable farmers market, because their farmers market was canceled. So they made it kind of like a car drive-through where they could pick up different items, and it was coordinated with an online form, and it was done in conjunction with like nearby bases. It was just a great story, and so we want to focus on those sort of things, kind of feel-good stories that kind of really touch on quality of life in your community. And so we, just like the video, we would need help with coordinating interviews with community members, maybe helping focus and develop an idea. Lastly, the last main component is really, as I mentioned, the magazine and the videos get released at the Installation Innovation Forum. And this really is your, this forum is really centered around really celebrating your communities. So last year in Phoenix, we had IIF in last November. What we did is we had a special reception at an offsite restaurant, and different parts of the restaurant were dedicated to different communities. So basically each area got its own little stand where people could come and visit, and some communities handed out sort of, little tchotchkes, little, just little tokens of their community. And we're happy to talk with people who are curious, I think, about the program and about their communities themselves. And we got food that kind of is emblematic of each community. So we have this reception, which is a really fun time, and really allows people to get to know the program better. And then in addition, one day we will have during this year's IAF a keynote session that really involves representatives from each community. You can see that in the picture here in this slide, along with a USA representative. They'll discuss how and why they got the award, a little bit about their communities, just different things to really highlight and promote you. And something else, this is pending, but perhaps even IAF has a lot of different breakout sessions, and so perhaps even developing a breakout session for your community. That's still kind of a work in progress, but it could be an option for, further highlighting your community and GADC itself at the Installation Innovation Forum. So the timeline, the program is open for the month of January, open January 1st, and it will close on January 31st. So please, if you do plan on applying, please do so before then. By mid-February, our nominating board will have taken a look at all the applications and will have decided on who will be our 2023 communities. So you will hear back by then whether you have been selected or not. Something else I would like to say, if you are not selected, if you have a good application, we have a lot of great communities. I see there are 52 people on this call right now. We get 52 applications and we can only accept 4. That's just not a very, it's competitive. So what we would say is if you don't get it this time, we still encourage you to apply in the future, because we really do want to involve as many communities as possible. And we would love to see everyone involved, ideally from our membership. So yes, by early March, there will be an announcement and there will be press releases distributed at your local and national level. We will help develop these materials. At our national summit, which is our other large event besides IAF, it will be held this March here in Washington, D.C. We will announce the communities then. And then throughout April and September, all the aforementioned components of the program, the delegation visits, video productions, magazine interviews, all of that will take place in the meantime. And then November 6th to 8th in Orlando, we will be having the dedicated reception and conference programming at IAF, which we would want every community to send every selected community to send a delegation. So how to apply? If you go to defensecommunities.org/GADC, if you scroll down the page, you will find the nomination form section. So it consists of several parts. First part is pretty straightforward. Contact information, just includes a brief overview of the nominating organization. This organization must be an ADC member. It's one of the benefits of membership. If you are not an ADC member, we encourage you to become one, or else your application will not be considered. Part 2, our community overview, just to tell us more about your community, the installation that your region supports. And then that kind of goes into part 3, community support. We want you to describe 2 programs that supports military quality of life, in those focused, topic areas, education, workforce development, climate resilience, et cetera, et cetera. So just finding things there that are quality of life focused. And then to conclude, the last part is sort of how do you align your community with ADC's priorities for the year? How do you tackle those sort of challenges? And how can you focus it in sort of an innovative standpoint? Something we like to focus on is how defense communities are kind of this home of innovation and are finding creative solutions to big challenges. So what do you do that is, really, innovative? So that's what focus really is there. Like I said, workforce development, entrepreneurship, supporting young service members is a big issue these days. Housing, climate resilience, all of these things that are, very important issues these days. So what is the nominating board looking for? GADC, first and foremost, is about military quality of life. It's how the lives of service members, military families, and veterans are being improved. by efforts in your community. So we are not looking for, to discuss P3, P4, BRAC, sort of infrastructure related elements. Those are all obviously incredibly important, but for this program, it is very quality of life focused. We are also looking for, alignment with our 2023 agenda, those aforementioned, topics that we find important, and how innovation is really a part of your response to that. Then we need to know certain other things. We want to have everyone become a great American defense community eventually, but what's important to us is to know, like, how can your community support publicizing the recognition? Do you have the bandwidth to do so? Do you have the manpower that is required of this? It is a great program, and we will be doing a lot of coordination with your community, but we do need you all to be involved with us. So can you participate in ADC events? Can you come out to Orlando this November? Can you support and manage a visit from a delegation of 4 to 6 people visiting, and just plan out a day where you can kind of show them around and help have that flag ceremony? And lastly, can you help coordinate a video shoot and magazine interviews, and really help guide that process for us as we kind of try to find those angles and really promote your community? So we'll just need some coordination from you all. So to conclude, we'll start the Q&A session now in a second, but following this, if you have any questions, you feel free to contact me at cduyos@defensecommunities.org. We'll send out more emails after this, and my email address will be there on as well. But yes, please don't hesitate to send me any questions. I'd be more than happy to help if you need assistance with anything. In the meantime, let's begin the Q&A session. Is there a list of past recipients? Yes, there are. You can find that online in the magazine, but we can also share that as well. Okay, so who should be submitting the application on behalf of the district? I would say a member organization, someone who is a member of ADC. Sometimes, in your district, it could be a local government that's a member. It could be a chamber of commerce. It could be an economic development commission. We do not recognize states. It is focused on sort of the community itself. We're trying to focus really on the local level, focus on, the communities surrounding an installation. So with repeat communities, that is a question I've gotten several times this past week. So as I mentioned, ADC's 50th anniversary is coming up in a few years, and our goal is by our 50th anniversary is to have as many communities on our map, like on our list as possible. So we will still be finding ways to honor these repeat communities. But right now our focus is selecting new communities. But for repeat communities, there will be more information available. We will be finding ways to highlight you through social media. That is one of our focuses this year, to make sure that, once a GADC, always a GADC, and we want to continue promoting the work you all are doing. So there will be more of that as time goes on. So yes, we will be sending copies of this presentation, and the webinar is being recorded, so the recording will be shared as well. So could a university nominate a community? If the university is a member of ADC and they are if they're at the local level, then yes, we would consider it. Okay, here's a good question. Can you expand on not infrastructure focused? You mentioned that housing is a component. So we're looking on, you're right. It is, while we're not focusing on infrastructure, we mentioned housing. I can see how that could be confusing. So what's important with housing is, how it improves like quality of life, really focusing on it from that angle. What we don't really want to hear is about getting into nitty gritty about, sort of like funding initiatives and how that came about. What's important is to focus on the impact of families. We're trying to, this program is really, it's a big focus of it. In fact, I'd say the main focus is really storytelling from our defense communities. we really want to focus on the people. So how does housing, what housing initiatives are being done that, and what is the angle we could capture from the perspective of a service member, of a military wife, military spouse, military kids. Let's see how many designations will be awarded. It will either be 4 or 5 in this cycle. And yes, 1 or more installations within the same state can be recognized. We would normally keep it to 1 per year. We do like to highlight different regions every year. 2022, for example, it was Florida, it was Virginia, Tennessee, and California. So all in different states. We don't want to focus all our attention in one area. We want to make sure that we're getting at least to different states and ideally to different regions as well. That being said, there can be, I think in Georgia and Florida, we've had, nominations from there almost every year just because there's so many installations there. So from year to year, there can be more communities that have it in each state. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I do think just focus on make sure that you just send it through word check, or spell check, sorry. Just take a look through spell check and make sure everything is good vocabulary. And I don't know, I know I sometimes have a lot of typos, so just good to go through and review. Paul, you have your hand raised.
Hi, Paul Albright with the city of El Paso. So I was wondering if you could go over one more time, how do we start the application? Will we be sent a link or do we go to the website? Where's the application at?
So it's a web form. It's right on the GADC website. Let's see, could Emma, oh, thank you. So it was just sent in the chat, and we'll be sending it out, in our email messages and all our communications as well. But you just go to the web page, you scroll down, and it's right there on the web. There's no, you don't need to request the form or anything. You can just do it right then and there. It's fairly simple. But of course, if you have any questions, like I said, please contact me. I'd be happy to help.
Great, thank you.
Katie, I noticed your hand is raised as well.
Hello, thank you. I'm with the Greater Fairbanks Chamber up here in Alaska. And how do you guys define a community, like the size? Are we talking a town, city, borough, county?
We'll consider local level. It really is, we're trying to get down to, kind of the smallest, essentially the smallest reasonable area possible. Nominating a whole state really, isn't an option. It's just too big of an area, too many communities inside of it. It really is sort of ideally within a sort of municipality or an area that kind of surrounds a base. Just a town, or I guess a county as well. But I'm not familiar with how boroughs work, but I do think that they're pretty big, if I'm not mistaken.
Our borough is, and I believe it encapsulates 3 or 4 installations to include the Air Force, the Army, and now the Space Force. So I just wanted to know how much we can include. Obviously, keeping it simple, but how we affect
I suggest keep it simple, but if you have multiple installations around Fairbanks, I think that is also as long as they are within reasonable distance, I think that makes it a good candidate. But ideally, I'd say sort of city kind of level. I would say define your community, how you do at the local level. Hi there, Ben. I see your hand is raised.
Good morning. Ben Miranda with the Texas Military Preparedness Commission. I have a question. Will we be allowed to provide letters of support from our local elected officials, state officials, or state representatives, federal representatives?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, will we be able to submit letters of support from our community leaders, state representatives?
That's a really good question. We do not, unfortunately. At the end of the day, it's just we want to review the application, and that's how we will determine it. And we won't use any other sort of factors. But that is a good question, and it is a good point. Once a community is selected, if they do want to get a local official involved that sort of are at the event or something, we would love to see that. Just community participation in general. But That's a good point, but no, we will not be doing that. I see that in the chat here, Defense Alliance of North Carolina, I believe that's Tammy. Hi, Tammy. Asked, can a community be defined as a state district, which would include a few counties and several installations? So I think what we would ideally like is to keep it a few counties and several installations is still a little too broad. I would, there's Fort Bragg, there's Cherry Point. I would say sort of keep it around that area itself, kind of keep it how you would designate it, the local level, whether it's a city or like a single county, but ideally try to keep it as small as possible within reason, of course. But I mean, North Carolina has some vibrant, defense communities around some really important installations. I think one would, focusing your efforts on one would be, I think, more than enough. So for those who received a designation 5 years ago, we will continue to find ways to, sort of support you, and we would like to keep highlighting those. And that's a big plan of ours this year, to keep doing those on social media. But in the meantime, like I said, we really want to include as many new communities as possible, really expand this program as far, create as far reach as possible. But we will be finding ways, we are currently developing ways to, honor those communities who have been honored already, because we want to, continue highlighting the work you all do. Christian, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Could you, your hand is raised, I noticed.
So I just wanted to see if county governments are a member of an ADC, are they able to nominate a community, or would they be considered too large?
I think that would be fine.
And then if we're not currently an ADC member, is it a long process to be recognized as a member? Would we be able to get that done prior to the application due date?
Yes, absolutely. We could get that done fairly quickly. We can, oh yes, in the chat, my coworker is being really helpful. She just sent the link for the membership page on our website. I'd encourage you to take a look at that page, and if you have any questions, by all means, you can send membership@defensecommunities.org an email, or just email the info email as well. So, but yes, to be considered, you have to be a member.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, in the chat. Any questions about membership? E. Allen, that's my coworker Emma Allen at defensecommunities.org, or membership@defensecommunity.org. That's your place to if you have any questions regarding it.
Hey, Chris, I have a quick question. And I typed something in the chat, and maybe I didn't explain really well. So we're in the Dayton region, but we're not, like, the Dayton region was recognized in the inaugural class. Although we're not Dayton, we're a city outside of the city of Dayton, a first-tier suburb, but we're adjacent to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We're a school district, and then our mayor, I don't know if he's still on the call or not, or he was on the call. Would we be able to apply, or would we be considered under the umbrella of the Dayton region? I was just curious. I mean, I feel like that was the answer that looks like Grace gave me, but I'm not sure.
So you're from the Dayton region, which has already been honored, but you're from a different organization from that which nominated the Dayton region in 2016. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It would be the city of Riverside, or the Riverside Chamber would probably do the application.
Okay, interesting. Why don't you send your email in the chat, and we can discuss that. That's sort of a gray area, but we can get back to you. I would assume that we would wait a few more years to sort of honor your community again. But if it is a different area, we could consider it. But I will get back to you with an answer on that.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if, and maybe this isn't the right platform, but so we're a school district that's heavily impacted by the base. And I mean, looking at the questions, or the 4 areas that you guys collect information on as far as the application is concerned, or the 4 parts of the application, like we check a lot of those boxes for the service that we do to our for our families, in collaboration with a lot of different organizations, which probably looks a little bit different than like what the Dayton region application was, which was probably a more holistic, like look at the largest single site employer in the state of Ohio and the impact.
Right. Yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, we will get back to you. We still need to figure that out. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you right now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
So I noticed Jason commented in the chat, working for a state agency that is a member of ADC, can we nominate one of our communities that will be extremely involved? Can the nomination come from us on behalf of them? I believe so, but we will need to we'll need to double check that, just make sure that that's all clear. But I think that would be okay. I think I saw another message that was, should you focus on one quality of life initiative or focus on several? In the application, it's asking you, it asks you name two quality of life initiatives that you are sort of focusing on. So I would say, I think it just depends on your community. If you all have, a really excellent, robust education program that you all, have worked hard to really develop, and you feel like you have enough to answer, sort of two different initiatives within the application, by all means. But I feel like with most communities, there are several things going on. You could have something related to workforce development. You have something related to honoring veterans. You could have something relating to engaging young service members in the community. So there's, I think it just go with your instincts. If you all have, a really strong area that you feel like you can answer two questions on, by all means. But if not, I'd say focus on several. Something else I will say is communities have won doing either of those. But yeah, really mentioning one or two topics and really driving home a narrative is a really strong technique, I would say. Okay. If that is all, like I said, my email's in the chat. Please don't hesitate to send me an email. Be happy to answer any follow-up questions. This webinar will be posted next, probably some point either today or tomorrow, in addition to the PowerPoint as well. But yes, good luck with your applications, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing what you all send in. Thank you.